All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. Now, we are going to talk about a lot of things today. Well, a couple things. This video, we're going to talk about Triple C again, though, because Chael Sonnen just did an incredible video. Well, he does great videos, but like this specific one was awesome. I called it incredible because it validated things I said. I literally just caught myself doing that. I was like, oh, man. Did I really just call his video incredible because he validated the things that I speculated about? I think I did. It's really embarrassing, except not really. But that's why I found it incredible. I was like, gosh, isn't it crazy? Like when you see something that validates something you want to hear, you're like, gosh, this is incredible content. I'm finding myself very drawn to this particular video. I don't know why. What is it? Could it be that it's music to my ears when I hear something validated that I might have said on my channel? I don't know what it is. At least be self-aware if you're going to be a self-aggrandizing prick like me. You know what I mean? But yeah, so Chael's video about Triple C validated a bunch of things that I speculated about, and we're going to talk about that. But also, he's coming back to 35, it sounds like, which is the correct thing to do right now, because you're not going to get that fight at 45. Dana has made that perfectly clear. Also, yeah, there's actually a lot to talk about here, about him coming back to 35, what the situation is, why he retired, why he's, in a really tough spot now. He's in a bad spot. Like he's actually, not like a bad spot, but he made a huge mistake. Like that just ultimately, like he made a huge mistake. And the UFC has played this very, very, very well. Very well. I'm going to give a lot of props to the UFC in this video as it relates to how to structure the business, how to handle the business that they're in. Obviously these guys are vets. This shouldn't be like super surprising. But yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Look at this. I feel so much better, you guys. I'm still at like 75%. But yesterday, I don't know what my videos came off like. By the way, if you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell. I have the virus, and I'm still doing these. Now, yesterday, I don't know really what my videos came off like, but that was a struggle, man. Like, I could not connect my thoughts. I watched the videos after. I was like, man, this didn't even seem that bad. But believe me, on the inside, I was like, these are going to be terrible videos. Anyway. So, but yeah, we're almost at 50,000. Very exciting. Very exciting. You could be the 50,000th. What? No, you couldn't. Unless you were. So anyway, so where should we start here? I guess we start with Triple C is coming back at 35. Now he's asking for the fight at 35. He has given up on going up to 45 because Dana just threw cold water on. He's like, dude, you're retired. You're not coming back at 45, right? So I think this is a good play anyway, just because 35 is so stacked, dude. Like there are so many good fights at 35, and you throw Triple C in the mix. That just, what's really crazy actually is how in the middle of all this shuffle where everyone's trying to figure out who's who at 35, normally when you have a champion that walked away, it's always kind of like, well, these guys can figure it out, but, right? Like when GSP first walked away, it was kind of like that. And with, certainly when Khabib walked away, it's very much like that. And when Triple C walked, it wasn't. And the reason for that is why, obviously. Well, I don't know if it's obvious, but I'll tell you exactly why. It's because TJ was the undisputed champion, but he went down, he lost at 25. Then he had to relinquish the belt because he, popped for PEDs. And then Triple C fought Marlon Moraes. And, the vacant belt thing is always like, okay, he's the champion. It's like he's the champion. It was a little bit different for Cejudo because he did beat TJ, but he beat him at 25, and that was kind of, weird. Like he barely even, clearly, TJ can't absorb punishment at 25. Like, it's an awesome win and everything, but like he didn't get hit that hard to go down like he did. Anyway, neither here nor there. And then he beat Dominic Cruz, who also was not the champion at the time or super recent. So like, I don't know. Bottom line is it wasn't seen as though like this like really well-established champion was walking away like GSP or Khabib. And so like as the bantamweight division's been shaking itself out, you haven't really heard a lot of like, yeah, but what if Triple C was in there? What if Triple C was in there? And the thing is, I think he deserves that. Now Marlon Moraes has gone on a skid since that fight, but the Marlon Moraes he fought was not on a skid, was on a tear. It's insane how quickly a person's career can just turn, man. But Marlon Moraes was on a tear, and And Triple C won a really heroic fight that day. I mean, like he took incredible punishment to his legs and just withstood it and then outlasted him and then beat him down. And then he whipped Dominic Cruz's ass. He looked great in that fight too. But yeah, I mean, so I would be excited to watch Triple C fight any of these top guys at bantamweight. I would love to see. I think that he should just slide right in and fight for the title. In all honesty, I mean, I know the title's a little bit weird right now, but as a matter of fact, yeah. What I was thinking when I said title is Jan, and I realize now Jan's not the champion. But he should just slide in and fight Jan. That'd be amazing. I mean, let's see where he's at. I think that he's going to do really well. But Jan is a beast, son. Jan is a beast. Like the way that Triple C won that fight against Marlon Moraes is the exact opposite of how Jan fights. You know, like Marlon Moraes poured it on Triple C early and hurt him, and then Triple C outlasted him. Marlon Moraes slowed down, and then Triple C put it on him and beat him down. And that was an incredible fight. Peter Yan does the exact opposite of that. Peter Yan is going to fight 60% for the first two rounds. He might even lose a round, maybe. And this is the warm up from, he's in his warm up because he's just going to wait for you to slow down just a little bit. And about midway through the third round, he's going to 100% for the rest of the fight. And all of a sudden you're like, whoa, you got used to his speed. You got used to his frequency. You got used to his power. And all of a sudden it's coming faster, harder, more often. And you are diminished. I mean, it's so like when you really think about it, like I love watching that as a spectator, but like when you really think about what that's like, if you're in there, you're in there, you're fighting your heart out. You're fighting your heart out for two rounds, and you're like, man, I'm really hanging in there with this guy. And then you start to get a little bit tired. You're like, okay, I can still do this. And all of a sudden, the level increases, and you're like, oh wow, that hurt much more than the last one. Oh my gosh, she's throwing more at me. Oh my God, I'm running out of gas. Oh my God. Oh my body. But yeah, I love watching Peter Yan fight, man. The guy is ice cold. But I mean, there's a lot of great fights for Triple C there. But let's talk about the business side, right? So what Chael Sonnen talked about was what I talked about, which was that I bet you what's happening now is Triple C is trying to come back and he wants money like he's the champion, but he's not the champion anymore, okay? Everybody's UFC contracts are different if you're the champion, okay? Like everyone's. If you negotiate your deal with the UFC, it's like, okay, like even if you're renegotiating and you're the champion, it'll say, okay, so you get a base salary of this, win, whatever, back on the pay-per-view. If you lose the belt, it goes to this. It's a completely different deal. And that just is what it is. That is the case. And so Triple C, why would that be any different, right? And what Chael said was he knows that Triple C was on a bonus structure where he got a $3 million bonus for his last fight, okay? And so Triple C was like, okay, I'm out, like $3 million, I'm out. And like, so there's two things here, right? Number one thing, let me rewind. So number one thing is he got a $3 million bonus in addition to what sounds like he makes about $350K, for show and win. Okay. So if you've been making $350K, and I would imagine that was a new contract, right? Because going into the Demetrius Johnson fight, Cejudo wasn't a huge star, so he renegotiates $350K, so he made that for a couple fights, $350K minus taxes, getting taxed at $350K in lump sum, which is easily 50%. And that's after paying out your trainer, your agent, all that stuff. I mean, dude, you're netting out, in all honesty, you probably net out about $170, $170K, something like that would be my guess. Okay. Now that sounds like a lot of money if you've never had any money at all. And I'm not trying to be a dick here. Like 170 grand, that's a lot of money, of course, but it ain't that much money. Like it's not that much money if you really think about it. Like a person who makes $90,000 a year. Do you think of that person as like super well off? No, right? 90K a year. I mean, they're doing fine, I guess, But then after taxes, let's say that they, wrap up at like, I don't know, 65K. Okay, so in 3 years, the person who makes the 90 will make 100 and, will bring in the same amount of money, 170K or whatever. And so it is a lot of money, but it's not enough money for you to like sit back and just chill. Like you're living better than a person that makes 90K, and that money is going to run out in a year, right? Like a year or 2 years, whatever. So, you have a couple fights like that, and then you get a big one, a 7-figure payout. Because even, $3 million, even after you pay everybody out, you're still netting, over $1 million. They call it 1.5 probably, 1.4 or something. And that seems like a lot of money. It really does. Here's the thing, dude. It's not that much money, It's not that much money. In terms of your ability to just like, I'm done working, okay? Like we've talked about this before. Okay, if you talk to any financial advisor and you say, what do I need to retire? They'll tell you need 2.5. You need about 2.5. And that means giving a liquid 2.5 to your financial advisor so that the interest or the investments that they pay out will, you're still making, 6 figures just to live on for the rest of your life. Because with inflation, that's about what you need, dude. So if you park 2.5 with a financial advisor, then you're good. You really can stop working. But if you just get 1.5 and then you just kind of, live off of it, in a couple of years, you're going to be like, oh shit, I need to go back and work. That's exactly what happened with Miesha Tate too. Guaranteed. That's what happened with Miesha Tate. Same exact thing. And, so I think with Triple C, he made a miscalculation in that he thought he had enough money to just chill, or he was negotiating all along. Either way, he didn't have enough money to chill, and the negotiating position that he was in was not good because as soon as he retired, he kicked a 5-year frozen clause in his contract in, and also forced the UFC to address precedent, right? Like GSP, when he retired and then came back, you understand GSP was already making $5 million base. He had an enormous contract. So he didn't need to renegotiate anything. He just needed to get the UFC to agree to let him fight for him to get paid, And, so Triple C essentially fucked himself when he retired because he gave up the belt. So now he doesn't get the champion bonus anymore. He's just on his show and win. And if he thought that he was going to be able to negotiate that just because he's Triple C, like the UFC stuck their feet in. What? Dug their feet in? Dug their feet in, yeah. And they're like, no. Because again, this is them setting precedent, Like it's not just about like, oh, if we pay this person, we're setting precedent. It's also like, oh no, we're setting precedent. People who retire trying to play hardball, this is what happens. This is what happens. You come back and you make millions of dollars less money. So, yeah, go ahead, retire, you guys. Retire on your $1.5 million. And then in a couple of years when you need the money, you can come back and make significantly less money. So that's where it's at, And I would imagine that Triple C is kind of scrambling, right? Like he's going to Ali Abdelaziz like, dude, what can we do? And I mean, look, like I've said a million times, Ali has tremendous leverage with the UFC. And so it's possible that he'll be able to get something done. I will tell you this. If he does get something done, it'll be done quietly, and Triple C should give him an enormous hug. Because I guarantee you that absent the collective bargaining, or just the number of guys that Ali, represents, they would stick it to Cejudo. They might still do that. Who knows? I think Cejudo retiring really rubbed them wrong, dude. I think that really rubbed them wrong. It would have rubbed me wrong. If I thought he really was going to, if I thought he was seriously retiring because he wanted to retire, that'd be one thing. But he made pretty clear that's not what he was doing. He said, they know my number. And I realized the first time I said that, I wasn't talking about my phone number. He's talking about they know my number that I'll fight for, right? Now, I will say this also, though. Chael said that Triple C is on a 180 to show, 180 to win. Okay, so 360K. Now, for a double champion, that's pretty fucking low, dude. You know what I mean? Like, straight up, that's pretty fucking low. I'm just going to, and I don't get into fighter pay stuff, but that's just, his pay was out of alignment. But But his pay was out of alignment based on where he was then, not based on where he was 2 fights ago. When he beat Demetrius Johnson, he did not hype that fight. He was just an exciting fighter that very few people even knew about. I knew about him. I knew about him because I told you, when I saw him come back in the karate stance and he was so exciting, I was like, whoa, this dude. And then I called my buddy who's actually, anyway, Gabrielle can't come with me to UFC 270, but my friend Christian is. So that's who will be with me in section 108 on Saturday. But yeah, I called him right after and I was like, dude, watch Cejudo come and beat Demetrius Johnson. But like the Triple C thing started with the TJ Dillashaw fight. That's when that started. So you're still only talking 3 total fights since he started the character. And those fights happened pretty quick, you know? Like it was like TJ, Marlon Moraes, Dominic Cruz, all within a pretty short period of time. If he would have stuck with it, dude, if he would have just stuck with it and done all the stuff that he's doing and continued to go in and win fights, dude, man, he could have really he could have gotten really, really big. He could still do it, but now he has to come back and he has to win some fights. Because Chael brought up a good point. He's like, look, if Peter Yan and Triple C headline a show, is that going to sell? I mean, is that going to sell out? Is that going to sell a bunch of pay-per-views? And candidly, I don't know. I realize I think I'm out of touch when it comes to Triple C because I love him. I'm a huge Triple C fan. I'm a huge Triple C fan. So like when Chael said that, and he's like, I don't think it'll sell out. Now look, obviously Chael does the bidding of the UFC on his YouTube channel. If you guys haven't figured, I mean, I know I've said this a million times, but like if you can't figure that out, like, come on, dude. I'll put it, and I don't think I'm like, I don't know, man. Sometimes I just say shit on here. Like, you know, when I say things about, you know, oh, is this beef real? Is that beef real? Blah, blah, blah. I'm just talking. But I'm not like, I don't know. I don't think I'm revealing anything that shouldn't be super fucking obvious to anybody, right? Like, if you're the UFC, controlling narrative is incredibly important. Incredibly important. And Chael has the biggest YouTube channel on YouTube, and he's an ESPN employee. Okay, so like if you want to get a message out to the broader public and you don't want it to go through mainstream channels, who are you going to send it through? If you want to send a message to a fighter, who are you going to send it through? You know they're going to see it. Everyone's going to see it. So you send it through fucking Chael. That's what I would do. 100% that's what I would do. And especially given that Chael can fucking spin shit any way he wants. He literally went on his channel and said that Mayweather-McGregor was a commercial failure. It's the second biggest pay-per-view of all time. It sold 4.4 million pay-per-views, dude. He called it a commercial failure. He said everyone took a bath. Okay? That's an incredibly valuable asset, dude, to have a person that can spin anything, any direction. This is where I would normally say, I also can spin anything, any direction, which is accurate. So, but no one's called and asked me if I want a job or wait, what? I don't even know. Job is not the right thing. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Hey, by the way, I'm doing Bisping's show again tomorrow. So, if you've made it this far, then, you can look forward to that. So I'm doing Believe You Me again tomorrow. It's going to be a great time. So don't miss it. But this is probably enough. I've probably been talking long enough. I love you guys. So subscribe to the channel, ring the bell.